Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, Ledger Legends, episode 12. And my next guest is an absolute legend in the game, 25 years in the financial services industry. We're going to be talking about all things insurance, all things protecting the what-if moments, all things financial certainty in uncertain times. Could you please make very welcome my dear friend who's back from the States, went to a conference over there, and has many followers on LinkedIn. It does me shame. So could you please make very welcome Mr. Paul Milbourne from Milbourne Insurance Solutions. How are you, Paul?
I'm amazing, Cullen. Trying to match your energy levels. Thank you very much.
Mate, of course, mate. And I just wanted to make it clear to everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, we're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, but also wherever you get your podcasts. So give us a cheeky like and subscribe. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. And I'm joined here by Mr. Paul Milbourne. And everyone wants to know, Paul, what is happening in your circle of influence and what do you do in a nutshell, mate?
Yep. What's happening in my circle of influence? Well, Happy New Year, first of all, the 2nd of July. So when not that I'm an accountant, by the way, but I was talking to some of the younger people in the office today in the accounting firm I work from about when I first started working in an accounting firm. We all had the first week of the financial year off because there was no work to be done. So for those maybe had yesterday off and now cracking into it and fielding those returns, well done. So what's happening in my world? I think, a lot of the partners I work with, they're all actually taking a break because tax planning's done and they're in that little gulf between the next deadline. On the law side, they're really, that just keeps on keeping on. Let's try and find the next problem to solve. And what's happening in life insurance? Well, I guess to answer your question, Cullen, I'm a financial advisor, but financial advisors do so many amazing things. Yes. I specialize in one area and one area only, and that's providing life insurance advice, income protection, disability insurance advice to business owners and professionals like accountants, lawyers, and doctors, and have been either deliberately specialising for circa the last 15 years and probably accidentally doing it for the last 20 odd.
And you do it so well, my friend. My first foray into knowing what a insurance broker was or financial advisor was, do you remember the movie Groundhog Day? And
Yep.
Ned Ryerson sells insurance, and he goes, "When the looks of you ain't got any." Am I right or am I right? Right. But on anyone else, please put your things in the comments because we want to ask him for Paul, this powerhouse. He doesn't do this very often. So please, we're live. It's now 5:08 Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday, the 2nd of July. So please put your questions in. But I'm going to ask a great question now. If you had to explain your life using just film titles, Paul, how would you go about doing that?
I think it would have to be Police Academy, the whole lot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because it's had some ups, some downs, some absolute clowns, some good leaders, some good mentors, some triumph over adversity, and some interesting stories that you can only tell over the bar as well.
No, good point. Police Academy. Gosh, that's going back a little bit. Is that Steve Gutenberg in that one as well? And a few other people?
Is that the guy that does all the noises?
I think so.
Yeah. I saw him. He did an Australian tour a few years ago of all your favourite, backwater kind of pubs, and put a fantastic 3-hour show on.
There you go. If I'm wrong, please put it in the comments or let me know online. Good, bad, or indifferent feedback is still engagement in my eyes. But nonetheless, what does it take to become the go-to expert in insurance and financial certainty during times of uncertainty, which is the name of this stream, my friend?
Geez, you're very kind to my ego, Cullen, saying the go-to person. What does it take at the end of the day? Well, the great thing, I guess, about what I do is everyone, or almost everyone, needs what I do.
Yes.
You know, if you love someone or something, then you're usually buying insurance for them or for it. So what does it take? In my case, I think it's just lasting long enough. Cullen, probably as simple as that. But I was really lucky, mate. I started out in a grad program at AMP when AMP was a great place to be. Sydney Olympics had just
Shout out to everyone at AMP.
share price was $40 odd, so you can maybe put up what the current share price is there, and it was a great development business. So I think I was really best to go into a wonderful learning and development business when it was a really great place to be, and it just set me off from everything that's happened since there. So from there, I was fortunate enough to go into an accounting practice as on the financial advice side, I should say, but got to work hand in hand with an accountant just at the top of their game who was also a journalist, and I got to learn so much, and from there got to go into the global market for 8 years, which again teaches you an awful lot, and then come back into the accounting landscape, but again on the financial services side. And just every step of the journey, Cullen, I've been so lucky to work with amazing seniors or mentors that have taught me so much. And I think I'm a pretty young man. I'm a couple of years older than you, but not too many. But it's taught me that the power of working with really good leaders, really good advisors, people that do what they do so well. And you just get to cherry pick the really good things about them and add your little secret sauce over the top.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I want to go back to that germ of an idea that you had to get into it. Like, what sparked your interest in using insurance as a strategic tool for business owners and the professionals you look after, lawyers and accountants, our clients?
Yeah. Well, let's go to the lawyers and the accountants first, and then we'll go to business owners. So what sparked it is, as I said, I am a financial advisor. I should say, not was. But there were lots of the job.
And you're still here.
Lots of the job. Exactly.
Never say was.
I've made it from a GFC through some royal commissions and everything else in between. But there were parts of the job I didn't enjoy, and there were parts of the job I loved. And ultimately, the part I loved was just taking clients on this journey where there was one thing I could do for them that at their absolute worst moment, I could change their life.
Yes.
And ultimately for all of us, if we have a major health diagnosis, like, and unfortunately have a cancer, a stroke, a heart attack, and the immediate financial ramifications of that, or death in a family as well, and the immediate financial ramifications of that, I'm fairly sure I'm the only person that they are happy to hear from or happy to speak to when they're at their absolute worst moment. Because what I get to do is I get to create financial certainty for them. They will not have to worry about money, which means they can get on working through what has to be worked through. Then I got to understand a little bit later how businesses actually work. And I mean, SMEs, Cullen, and you're in this industry.
Tell me, Paul.
A small business owner, when they get a piece of debt, they sign twice. They sign first time to get the debt, which is what they want, and they sign the second time as the guarantor for it when they put the family home on the line. And so what we get to do again is, when they do that, the bank becomes the first heir to their estate, not their family. And so we're just simply restoring their family as the first heir to the estate.
No, it's incredible. Like I put you up there with like first responders, right? I remember someone who was a paramedic once told me, Cullen, my job is speaking to people or dealing with people probably on their worst day of their lives, right? And yeah. I never thought about it like that. No one wants to see you. But you are right. When you call, they probably want to speak to you because, unfortunately, when health things do happen or, touch wood, when death occurs, the next thing people think about is, holy crap, can I afford this mortgage? And it's a question I ask my leading lawyers and whatnot, especially when you're borrowing more than $2 million in Sydney and Melbourne. Yeah. Once we're doing the pre-approval, I go, have you actually thought what would happen to if you that what if? Like, do you have something in place? And that what if gets people thinking, right? Like, is it powerful? It's like,
Exactly right.
Jesus, what if? So, I pick up what you're putting down. I've definitely got life insurance myself outside of my super because God forbid what would happen to my family without me. And, it's not going to be my problem anymore because I'm not going to be here, but it's going to be their problem. Right? So what's
But it does. It says a lot about.
Have to, right?
Yeah, and it says a lot about your character, or anyone's character, but yours. Given we're talking about you right now, that you have put things in place to make sure if you're not here, that they can at least maintain the lifestyle that they're accustomed to.
No, so true, so true. And I'd love to know, maybe it's a nice little segue. What's a surprising skill or underrated skill that's helped you succeed in this industry of helping people at probably the worst time, and hopefully not having to use the insurance that you put in place?
Yeah, look, I'm really lucky, Cullen, that I'm not the world's smartest man. And I get to surround myself. With people that are far smarter than me at the end of the day, because what we actually do is quite complex. But our clients, Cullen, they want simplicity.
Of course they do.
So what's really important, and again, your vocation's no different, right? You've got 30 odd lenders. Clients want an outcome at the end of the day, which is, can I please have my dream fulfilled of that house or that investment asset? And I think it's just that ability to take the complex and keep it really simple. I learned really early on that our clients should be able to walk out their front door, go and see their grandmother and tell their grandmother exactly what happened in that meeting, and their grandmother go, I understand.
I never thought about it like that either. That's very, very incisive there, Paul. To make your grandmother understand it, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And my grandma was calling me at 9:30 this morning because I'd been away and just wanted to have a nice chat. And how good's that when you've got all this work to do? But she wants to just check in and make sure you're okay.
Oh, I love that. And shout out to all grandmothers in the world, especially yours, Paul, who may or may not be tuning in, but nonetheless, it's the thought that counts. Guys, we're halfway through the stream. Please, any burning questions, do us a favor. We've got a few people tuned in. YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X. Hit that bell. Put some questions in. We've got FRA8286 from Twitch, which is usually for video games. And he said hello. He's also said something else, which I won't put on, but nonetheless, he must be in a good mood. What does being at the top of your game in business mean to you, Paul?
Being at the top of your game in business, that's a great question, Cullen. I'm not first time self-employed, but I'm recently self-employed again. So I feel we're at the very, very, very bottom of the large mountain. I had cats screaming before, and now you've got kids. Is he coming in? Excellent.
He's coming in, mate. He wanted to be part of it.
Why would he like some insurance? Gee, that's going back to the 60s, isn't it?
Oh gosh! But as you were,
yeah.
Continue, Paul.
Look, I think being at the top of your game is really just unrelenting focus on your client and the client outcomes. And being that person, it's what we said before. In my job, I think I should be the third phone call. And if we're at the top of our game, we'll be the third phone call, because first you'll call the doctor, then you'll call the undertaker, and we would hope then we would be the third person that would be called. So it's really just having that deep relationship. It's such a unique role. You know what we know about our clients, about their goals, dreams, fears, health, financial circumstances.
You know everything.
It's really unique. I think maybe we'd know more than their doctor, definitely more than their accountants or their lawyers. And it's just such a unique job that to have someone trust you that much, because ultimately we get into work usually when they're not here anymore, or they're in a hospital bed. So it's and all we're doing is giving them a piece of paper with a promise on it, and fulfilling that promise at someone's worst moment. So it's really being there for them, Cullen, I think, and having that trust.
Well said, Paul. And look, I didn't realize before I got into this business and going through my the whole life insurance game that over $1 million, you kind of have to. You actually need to get a medical. I actually had to get like a blood test and all those things. It's actually quite interesting, like the hoops you have to jump through. But once you get through them, it's obviously great. But as you said, you have to know everything about a person, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the one thing a lot of people don't realise is what you've got's a contract, Cullen. If I use life insurance, that insurance company is now going to renew that contract every year, no matter what, until you're 99 years old. They don't get to look at you again. They don't know whether you've lost weight, put on weight, got a new job, taken up bungee jumping. So,
started smoking, drinking.
Exactly.
It's pretty easy for me. Non-drinker, non-smoker, doesn't take drugs, is a vegetarian, doesn't like extreme sports. So I can probably, hopefully, touch wood, Benji, one of the safest people they're going to have.
Yeah, but they've still got to go through that midlife crisis risk. Just there's the motorbike to come.
Very true. Well, on that note of midlife crises and tough days, how do you particularly unwind after a particularly tough day?
Mate, I'm going to be honest with you. Have a look at me. I'm hardly the fittest, healthiest looking bloke. It's something that I have been extremely bad with. Because I've got such a kick out of my job for so many years. However, I have had the come to Jesus moment, Cullen. Now I'm in my early 40s, and I go for a swim most nights. I'm hardly going to say it's like you on your 5 kilometre run and then probably doing some deadlifts and everything else. It's more like swim between 200 and 500 metres, then go straight to the spa for an hour and think about the world. But I think it's a pretty good way to unwind. Of
course. And it's a journey, not the destination that's important. So enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Benji's got something. What was that, Benji?
Thank
you for that. Are there any passion projects or personal goals you're currently working on that you're able to share with everyone tuning in or re-listening?
Oh, I'm a bit boring on that front, Cullen. Back to earlier, my business is probably my passion project. It's I've got a fairly big, bold BHAG on what we're looking to achieve on that front, and we're only just over 12 months into it. And like all founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, we're batshit crazy and we're obsessed with our business. I know you are in your business as well. No one loves your business like you do, first of
course.
All. And never get a business owner talking about their business because it's a bit like vegans.
How do you know if someone's a vegan? They'll tell you.
Or CrossFit for that matter as well. Exactly. Exactly.
We should acknowledge no vegans or CrossFitters are meant to be offended or harmed in the making of this podcast.
But for me, look, I mean, I've got an old dog who I love looking after. I've got 4 cats who want attention, and it's just the simple things, Cullen. Like one of my cats is gorgeous, just to put it nicely. I know all cat owners say this, but mine is better looking than everyone else's. And I was away for 2 weeks, and you just, you miss the little things. Like you've got young kids. My kids are all a bit bigger, so they've got no interest in jumping on my lap anymore like that and looking in my eyes like I'm a hero. But hey, your dog and your cats will still do that for you.
Absolutely. What is it like? A dog, you could walk away for 5 minutes outside the home. They'll greet you as if you were gone for 20 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. And my poor old boy's going blind, and he just wants to sit there and put his head so he can feel you and know that it's all going to be okay. So it's pretty heartwarming. Of course
it is. Absolutely. Man's best friend and lady's best friend as well, obviously. Where do you see, switching gears a little bit, where do you see the insurance and financial services? We were talking about AI before we got on the call. Where do you see this heading in the next decade with all this technology? Are the robots going to take over? Are we going to be calling a Paul robot version to say, hey, Mr. Robot, can you get my insurance sort of like, where's it going?
Mate, so given I've just come back from the States and I've been American AI'd after a week there.
Oh my God, it's like a Herbalife conference or something with Jim Rohn. My gosh.
Steroids, absolute steroids over there. It's mental. But I mean, it's mental that it's just such a bigger market, Cullen. So,
of course, there's 300 million people as opposed to 26 million people.
Exactly. Look, at the end of the day, people trust people, and people want they want validation They want validation from a human. So I actually think there's never been a better time to do what I do or do what you do, just to be someone in professional services at the end of the day, giving the human touch, because we'll still want human connection and validation from the human. But what I do see it, and this won't be revolutionary, but, you know, the amount of people we'll be able to serve will just, again, be multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. And we'll be able to just do so much more of that customer journey through the digital Paul or the digital Cullen, that will ultimately just lead to that, you know, that human connection and validation at the end of it. So I'm really excited, mate, because I hate doing admin. I hate doing paperwork. I just want to talk to people and have, you know, we met earlier. Yeah. My boss, when I was 24 years old, used to have 6 phone calls a day and 4 clients a day, and everyone else and didn't touch paper. And I was 24 years old. I thought, when I grow up, that's what I want to be. You know, with technology going where it's going, I think we're getting closer and closer to never having to actually do the admin ourselves ever again.
That's amazing, and let us enjoy that time that is coming, and it's just around the corner. It's already on us. So the admin day, so you can focus on like that Pareto principle, right? 20% of the stuff you do gives you 80% of the results. That's kind of what you want to focus on. Not you want to minor in the major, not major in the minor, as I was saying in my previous Law Live with Marty Payne earlier. What's the most unusual or unexpected client requests you've ever had to deal with in your whole? You know, you've only been on this for what, 30 years, so you tell us what you've experienced.
Yeah, so look, when you're doing a personal insurance application, your obligation is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but else the truth.
Of course.
Not that this happens even yearly. It's probably only happened 3 or 4 times in my career, but men are pretty good at wanting to hide things from their wives that they don't want their wives to know about. And every now and again, there's a question in there, and they'll give you an answer, and you'll get a phone call the next day saying, "Mate, look, I didn't want to tell you the truth because, and we cannot tell my wife."
Oh my gosh!
So how are we going to deal with that? And look, a couple of times it's been stupid, trivial, irrelevant things, right? You know, I have 6 beers a week, not 4.
Yes.
Or I don't mind a casual ciggy every now and again, or something like that. But every now and again we get a major, you know, fork in the road that, geez, buddy, you haven't told your wife that. But the good news for clients is we have an ethical code as well as privacy laws and everything else, so we physically can't dob them in regardless.
You're like a priest, right?
Yeah, I've never been called a priest, Cullen, but yeah, I might use that from now on. Father Paul, the priest of life insurance.
Absolutely. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been 20 years since my last insurance review.
Yeah.
So let's go through it. But you talked about your boss before, right? And I really like that. So would you say he's been one of the most influential mentors in your life? Or was there someone else who drove that impact in your life the way they did?
Look, everyone has played a role, I think, for where I was at that time, and in my career. But I'm really blessed. You know, about 9.5 years ago now, I came into a large accounting firm as a succession plan for one of the doyens of the life insurance industry, and lucky for me, he didn't retire like he was supposed to, and I got to spend about 6 years working directly with him under his guidance and mentorship, and now, you know, at the tender age of 80 for him, we're business partners, and you know, to get to work.
That's incredible.
Someone, yeah, it's, you know, who's been there, done it, been to the absolute top of the business mountain a couple of times, and had his ass kicked all the way down a couple of times as well, is amazing. So I said this before, I've been blessed at every stage of my journey, and right now to have a business partner like that as well, who's, you know, in France at the moment, yet we still had a phone call an hour ago just to check in.
Absolutely. Are we able to say the name of your business partner? Shout him out.
Yeah, certainly. For anyone that's been in accounting and law and financial services from the 70s and 80s, they'd know who he was, or is, I should say, Terry Brain.
Terry Brain. Our last name to match his acumen, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Absolutely. Well, shout out to Terry. I think that's absolutely fantastic. What a great great role model to have. And actually links me to a bonus question. I didn't have this one prepared with you, but you've seen the stats on people's health, right? But, a lot of my clients in the legal profession, they see it as a vocation. You see barristers and judges working until their 80s and 90s. Do you see a corollary? It's obviously case by case, that people who love what they do and keep working live longer, as opposed to retiring.
Yep. I think it's purpose and a plan, right? You don't necessarily have to work, but there's a direct link between doing something that you really enjoy, keeping the mind ticking over, and waking up with a purpose every day. And that also goes to looking after your physical health as well, moving, exercising, stretching, whatever it all might well be. I've been in my vocation long enough to see the 60-year-old retire on the Monday and have a heart attack on the Thursday.
Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh!
And equally, what you're saying, barristers, lawyers, and accountants who are in jobs based on their mind, being able to work into their 70s and 80s and still be at the top of their profession.
No, it's a good point. Good point. So, definitely rewatch, re-listen, follow Paul. He's got some more cogent insights as well, I'm sure. But we've got only a couple of questions left. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box and I'll put it in there. But if you could change one thing about insurance or financial services, Paul, what would it be, in your opinion?
Yeah, if I could change one thing, it would be to change parts of the law that allow us to serve our clients in the way they want to be served.
Good point.
And what I mean by that, Cullen, is financial planners now have the same degrees and qualifications as your chartered accountant or your lawyer from that point of view. And given we're held at the same education and ethical standards, I think it's time that we're actually able to deliver advice to Australians in that same manner, and therefore serving them how they want to be served with the same protections that accountants and lawyers have.
No, well said, well said. So if there's any movers and shakers watching, let's see if we can make that happen sooner rather than later. But second to last question before we get into our bonus questions, Paul, what advice would you give younger professionals who are tuning in, re-listening, re-watching, starting out in business, finance, law, or any advisory roles? What would you have liked to have been told when you started out?
Yeah. What's that special forces saying? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that version. I've heard if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's not quite that one, but more, you don't have to get there in 3 months and 6 months. And just because you didn't make a typo for 1 week doesn't mean you haven't made a typo for a year. We were talking before, major in the minors in that respect. The little things, they really count in professional services. Yes. Spelling people's names right, getting their kids' names right. The little things really matter. Focus on the small details and serve, right? Serve your client. If you're a younger professional, especially in professional services like law and accounting, make your partner's job easier. What can you do to be one step ahead of the partner, to make their job easier? And don't work from home. Get into the office and be with them, because I've been into some really cool rooms when I was younger, by virtue of being a sponge and being prepared to put the extra hours in. And it's what you don't know what's going on and don't see, and all of a sudden your phone rings, and you're off on a path you never thought you'd be on.
There you go. So be open. It's all about the small things. Get in the office. Really appreciate those cogent insights there, Paul. I think everyone can walk away illumined there, not just the younger professionals. Thank you, sir. But when all is said and done, and very apt, probably the most apt this question has ever been in this podcast, when all is said and done and you are shifted off this mortal coil, how would you like to be remembered, both professionally and or personally?
Yep. Geez, everyone says these things though, Cullen, but just someone who did what they said they were going to do, and you know, and you live this. If it's maybe not being your mantras, but you know, be contagious. Be someone that you know people want to be around, and go, geez, I'm glad I met that person. They made my life or my day a little bit better.
That's very kind of you to say there, Paul. And I think you radiate that, and you know people do. Obviously, there's a reason why your phone rings all the time is because you project that, you give everything you've got, and your attitude is contagious, and it's worth catching. So I like that. You know, you can either
thank you.
When you come into the room, you can either give energy, you can sap people's energy, like the emotional vampires.
Yep.
Which I think. Wayne Dyer, late great Wayne Dyer said it best. He said, "There's 5 negative people in the world. There's only 5, but they tend to move around a lot." So,
I've never heard that.
No, there you go. But nonetheless, where are you hanging out most, Paul? Where can people find you if they can get in touch? Obviously, follow on the cheeky LinkedIn, please. Yeah. Follow Paul Milbourne.
So I'm not across all the socials like you. LinkedIn's where I keep it real. So certainly. Paul Milbourne on LinkedIn, drop a connection, drop a like. I'm in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane and Canberra on a very regular basis. Obviously, Melbourne being home and Sydney being the other home once a month. And always love to catch up, have a coffee, and chew the fat.
Absolutely. So please do that. I'm going to put obviously Paul's details are in the show notes. Thank you so much, Paul, for being part of episode 12 of Ledger Legends. It's been illuminating and fantastic, to say the least, my friend.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much for having me, Cullen.
My pleasure. I'll bring you back for some bonus questions in just a moment, sir.
Awesome.
And if you are a Ledger legend, thank you so much. We got cards here, everyone. Or know someone who is and want to be on the show. We're booked out until March next year, but we come out every Wednesday with the Live and Cullen Haynes podcast, and we're on anywhere you get your podcasts. So we're uploading a little bit of a backlog at the moment because I got 2 under 2. So please be patient while we get those episodes up there. But it's been really great to see all the support because it's been a lot of downloads and listens recently. But nonetheless, I'll give you back your time on your Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Have a great time. Take care. All the best. Bringing Paul back for some bonus questions. How would you explain your role to your dog or your cat, my friend? How would you explain it to them?
Woof woof, meow meow.
Very good.
Back to the grandmother comment, isn't it? I mean, it's really, really simple. If you were to suffer a major, a health catastrophe today, what's your major worry?
Yep. Right.
It's money. And I simply take away your major worry.
I love that. And on the other side, how would your pets describe you?
Yeah, none of them would come up here to say hello. I think the dog would just simply say that you're my best friend ever. I love you so much. And thank you for feeding me twice a day and taking me outside. The cats would probably say something similar, which is thanks for letting me sit on your big fat tummy and giving my head a scratch.
I love that. And last but certainly not least, this is a nice question. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice at any age, what age would you go back and give yourself that advice? And what would the advice be, Paul?
Cullen, this is let's go to the pub and you don't drink, go to the pub and have a few beers. But I did something silly that led me onto a great path. It wasn't necessarily silly, but at the time it was. I took a job overseas when I was 24 years old, and all young men should listen to their dad. That was the feedback, because I knew what my dad was going to say, and he was 100% right, and I didn't want to hear it. So therefore, I didn't listen to him at all, and it certainly caused some heartache that didn't need to happen.
Absolutely. Oh, what a nice note to end the podcast episode today, Paul. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, and really appreciate everyone's patience with Benji making some cameos as well.
Thank you so much, Cullen.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great Wednesday. Bring the magic. Oh, we got some more cards here, everyone. Look at this. We've got the Jack of Diamonds. Thank you, Benji. But look at this. We can go 1, 2. That just comes out of nowhere. There you go. You can have those back, Benji. Bye for now, everyone. We're going to end the stream. Have a great Wednesday night. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my book, my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're